It was Wednesday, June 4th, 1941, when in the town of Doorn in the Netherlands, a 82-year-old man closed his eyes forever. This man was the last king of Prussia and the last German emperor. He was Wilhelm II. The man we are talking about today was born on January 27, 1859, at the Crown Prince's Palace in Berlin. He was the eldest son of the then Prince Frederick William and Victoria, the Princess Royal. Through his mother, he was the eldest grandchild of Queen Victoria and the only grandson born during the lifetime of Prince Albert. His birth was difficult, almost costing the life of mother and son, and left Wilhelm with a damaged arm. He grew up to resent his parents, who both had plans to once rule the empire more liberal. On March 9, 1888, Wilhelm's grandfather, the first German Emperor Wilhelm I, passed away, and his father ascended as the next King of Prussia and Kaiser. However, his father by then was gravely ill with cancer and died after a short reign of only 99 days. Now at 29 years old, Wilhelm finally held the position he was born to inherit. This quickly caused a rift between him and German Chancellor Otto von Bismarck, also nicknamed the Iron Chancellor. Wilhelm had plans to expand Germany's power and held nothing of Bismarck's careful foreign policy. Within 2 years of his ascension to the throne, Wilhelm managed that Bismarck resigned from his post. What then began was an aggressive course to establish Germany as a world power. During his reign, Germany acquired new territories in China and the Pacific region. Under Wilhelm, Germany also became Europe's largest manufacturer, with him personally supporting better working conditions. Greatly inspired, or perhaps jealous, of Britain's navy, Wilhelm also began a massive naval buildup and thus greatly expanding Germany's fleet. In addition, the Kaiser was also a supporter of the arts and sciences, public education, and social welfare. Wilhelm's support in scientific research, the strengthening of the German economy, and the expansion of the navy made Germany a great power by the turn of the 20th century. By then, the empire was no longer dependent on strong allies and could easily rely on much weaker nations. A major turning point in this story is obviously the outbreak of the First World War in 1914. This ultimately also led to the downfall of the German Empire. The abdication of Wilhelm II on November 9, 1918 not only ended his reign after 30 years, but also the over 300-year-long rule of the House of Hohenzollern in Prussia. His abdication was in fact announced without the Kaiser giving his consent. It was the German Prince and Chancellor Max von Baden who announced it to the public. That same day, Germany was proclaimed a republic. A day later, Wilhelm would board a train to the Netherlands, where he received exile by Queen Wilhelmina. It would be his last time on German soil. In early 1919, prosecution for Wilhelm was provided for a supreme offense against international morality and the sanctities of treaties. However, Queen Wilhelmina and the Dutch government refused all requests to extradite him. Wilhelm was called the greatest criminal in history by his own cousin, King George V of the United Kingdom. After living in the Dutch village of Amerongen, Wilhelm moved to the nearby town of Doorn, where he would live until his death. Wilhelm published the first volume of his memoirs in 1922, explaining that he was not guilty of initiating war. He spent his last 20 years sketching plans of grand buildings and battleships, hunting and chopping wood. Although he himself never went back to Germany after abdicating, Wilhelm stayed in touch with many people from Germany and invited a lot of them over to the Netherlands. Wilhelm further had a house ministry back in Berlin that cared for all his possessions in Germany. His ministers visited him frequently in Doorn to update him on the situation in Germany. Wilhelm's life was shattered first in 1920 when his youngest son committed suicide, and secondly in 1921 when his wife Augusta died suddenly. However, he recovered from his losses and married for a second time in 1922. Hermine actively petitioned Adolf Hitler in early 1930 to restore the monarchy. Wilhelm firstly also hoped for a restoration of the monarchy with his eldest grandson as new Kaiser. However, Hitler himself was a veteran of the German Imperial Army during the First World War and felt nothing but contempt for the man he blamed for Germany's greatest defeat. Even in his last years, Wilhelm never gave up on his vision of restoring the German monarchy. Wilhelm died on June 4, 1941 at 12:30 a.m. of pulmonary embolism, a blockage of an artery in the lungs. The former Kaiser was 82. As the news of Wilhelm II's death reached Germany, a mourning period was forbidden by the Nazis. Despite his antipathy against monarchy, Hitler wanted Wilhelm's corpse to be transported back to Berlin for a state funeral. However, Wilhelm ordered for his body to not be brought back to Germany unless the monarchy would be restored. As a result, the funeral was set to take place at House Doorn. The Nazi regime only allowed a few people to attend the funeral of the ex-Kaiser. One of them was August von Mackensen. Mackensen was a field marshal in the German army who successfully commanded during the First World War. For his service, he became one of the most prominent and competent military leaders of the German Empire. He resigned after the First World War but remained a committed monarchist even throughout the Nazi regime. He was thus suspected by Hitler and Joseph Goebbels of disloyalty. He attended Wilhelm II's funeral in full military uniform, like you can see in this picture taken on the day of the funeral. Wilhelm left detailed notes for how his funeral service should be held. He only allowed a handful of guests, speeches and flower wreaths and flags were forbidden. Most importantly, Wilhelm tried to avoid Nazi swastikas at his funeral. However, his wish was not heeded, and you can therefore find pictures of his funeral with the swastikas. Next to August von Mackensen, also other members of the former German Imperial Army, as well as members of the Wehrmacht, the armed forces of Nazi Germany, attended the funeral service. His son, the last German Crown Prince Wilhelm, his daughter-in-law, Crown Princess Cecilia, and his only daughter, Victoria Louise, were among the guests representing his family. According to Wilhelm's wish, the service ended with a prayer song chosen by him. Wilhelm was firstly interred at a chapel near the gatehouse of House Doorn. 3 handsful of soil from Potsdam were scattered upon his coffin. The soil was taken from the area of the antique temple where Wilhelm's first wife, Augusta Victoria, was buried. As Wilhelm ordered that his body should never be buried in foreign soil, nor be buried in Germany as long as the monarchy is still abolished, a mausoleum was built in the park at House Doorn. There, Wilhelm's remains were reinterred exactly a year after his death, and it remains so until this very day. The coffin containing Wilhelm's body sits above a platform in the center of the mausoleum. It was Wilhelm's son, also named Wilhelm, who commissioned the building of the mausoleum. The design was held simple, according to sketches left by Wilhelm. There was an orb with a cross placed on the roof, which symbolizes Wilhelm's world rule as a Christian. There are rumors that the symbol was melted down from copper pans due to a shortage of materials. Above the entrance you can find the coat of arms of the House of Hohenzollern. Wilhelm's epitaph reads, translated, "Do not praise me, for I need no praise. Do not boast about me, for I have no need of fame. Do not judge me, for I will be judged." While the park and the house itself have been seized by the Dutch government and have been opened to the public, the mausoleum remains the property of the House of Hohenzollern. As such, the resting place of the last emperor is not open to public. By the way, 5 of Kaiser Wilhelm II's beloved Dachshund are also buried in the park. For his favorite dog of 20 years, Senta, there was even a marker constructed. The mausoleum has since become a place of pilgrimage for German monarchists who gather there every year on the anniversary of his death to pay their homage to the last German emperor.